Welcome to day 2 of the 3rd annual Israeli Agri-Food Tech Global Investor Summit, brought to you by Growing IL and Startup Nation Central. Again, I'm your host, Shmuel Rausnitz, Startup Nation Central's tech sector analyst for agri-food tech. Today we shift our focus downstream. We'll hear from food corporates and investors on how they're responding to consumer trends and the ways Israeli food tech startups can contribute. Let's get started. Listen in as Jordi Llach discusses how Nestle's $2 billion a year R&D strategy has tackled trends of healthy nutrition, alternative proteins, and less sugar content and salt content.
Hi, I would like to greet our next guest, Jordi Llach, Head of Food at EMENA at Nestle. Jordi, hi, thank you for joining us.
Hello, my pleasure.
Well, continuing your last visit in Israel, I'd be happy if you share with us your perspective at Nestle in terms of the food innovation and food trends that you see.
Yes, look, I am a Nestle animal. I've been 31 years within this great company. And of course, food is at the heart of everything we do, and specifically in my case, as all this career working in food. And of course, in all these years, we have seen many evolutions in the way people eat and people wants to get food, with some values that remain always the same, which is about great food, great tasting, healthy, nutritious, and convenient. But now we see a very strong accelerations in sustainability, in doing the things the right way, and also health becoming much more important and really a key growth driver. And health is in many, I would say, ways you can see it, but probably the fastest trend that we are seeing now is the boost of plant-based food.
You also see trends like the drive to less sugar and salt and more healthy nutrition. How do you deal with that? How do you take this momentum and implement it into Nestle's R&D and open innovation strategy, which is very significant?
Certainly, you're totally right. So I would say this is already there for some time, which is about improving what we have, and this is valid for many companies. Specifically in Nestle, we have very strong programs that we have been implementing across the time, related to sugar reduction, salt reduction, fat reduction, and also very much in developing new products that by design have already the optimal composition of the products. And sometimes it's just about working with the recipes. Sometimes it's about developing the technologies that allow you to deliver the same pleasure with less content of salt and sugar, as an example.
Okay, so tell me, looking at all these trends, and given that we have our audience, so many founders in the food and ag space, and also professionals, what do you look for in startups that you partner with or may invest in? What kind of methodologies you approach and so on?
Sure, certainly. So we have several ways to engage with the startups. We have what we call the Nestle Ventures Fund, where we invest in investors in startups. And in this case, we don't get the direct contact with the startups, it's through these investors. And normally we do this for the startups that are in the early stage, I would say. Then we also have scouting at Nestle level of startups in, I would say, all the countries in the world. But we know we are talking Israel, which is probably one of the top countries in terms of startup development. And there we can, let's say, in this scouting, get to the conclusion that, okay, this is really interesting for us. Let's deep dive. And there is where we start to open options for either a partnership or even acquisition as an ultimate goal. And what we are looking for is really startups that help us make a step change in what we really want to be, let's say, continue improving this journey of sustainability, quality, and health. So everything that helps us make a step change in these developments are, I would say, the priorities in terms of scouting startups.
I understand. And tell me, from your experience, how can startups work best with a giant like Nestle?
Yeah, that's we are when we engage with some startups, so the first concern of these guys are going to eat us by asking for so much information for their ways of working, etc. So we try to respect a lot the way of working of the startup, because otherwise, at the end, it does not make sense, this partnership, if we somehow take away the benefits of the startup way of working. So we try to respect this a lot. And at the end, it's all about people. So really, when you engage with a startup, you at the end, yes, it has to be something that is good for the business, but also you need to have this great relationship. And I can tell you, I'm engaged in personally in a couple of cases, and you see it. When you manage to build a relationship with the founder, with the person that has really this idea and that is this entrepreneurship mindset, and really growing this business, you need to get this feeling in order to have a common goal, and there everything comes much easier. And then we try to support with what we do well to accelerate the growth of the startup, and we try to learn what the startup is doing, also to insource some of these learnings in the company.
I understand. And how do you build a championship in between the innovation and R&D and within the specific business units?
So depending on the goal, we have, let's say, different levels. When it's about technology, it is really our R&D function that is driving all the contact with the startups, because they are the ones who at the end will know if the technology developed by this startup brings something really new to the company. When it's more a business model, then it's more the business people like myself engaging with the startup to understand if this new differentiated business model that is growing can be also something very good for Nestle. So the two big, I would say, ways to engage with a startup are these two: more technological approach or more business approach, when it's direct contact with Nestle.
I understand. And tell me, I want to jump for a minute to a challenging question, especially for someone who's been so long with Nestle, but I think it will give us maybe clarity about a lot of the issues. If you were today, took a step away from Nestle and start up your own startup in the food industry, where would you focus? What problems would you be solving?
I would say the key problem that many of us want to solve is a more sustainable planet, right? And this more sustainable planet can be improved, or we can contribute in many different ways. Related to food, one is through healthier nutrition, and therefore any development that helps for this is contributing to this goal. Can be related to really the materials that help also the planet to have lower impact, replacing plastic, this type of things, of course, but can also be a new way of eating that is much more sustainable also in terms of the sourcing or needed ingredients to develop this type of food. So I would say it's either health related, it is sourcing sustainability related, or pure, let's say, material sustainability related. So these three areas, if I would start now as a young entrepreneur, I would focus on that because I believe there are many, many things to be done. And all the companies are hungry to incorporate this in our programs that we are, of course, accelerating. Is a top priority for our group, for Nestle. You see, we have our good food, good life, good planet. This is what we want. And any help, any contribution by anyone, I believe it's more than welcome.
Super interesting. Health and sustainability.
Absolutely.
And tell me, a final question, if I may. When you look at, you see so many countries in a large conglomerate like Nestle. Why is Israel so interesting? What do you define as Israel's unique ingredient in that sector that makes it so interesting for a giant like Nestle?
Look, I would say everywhere you can find great entrepreneurs. But in some countries, you have a higher percentage of entrepreneurs and people thinking outside the box. And then in Israel, you have the amazing mix or cocktail, the positive cocktail of this mindset together with technology. And when you put this together, it's amazing, because in other countries you have the mindset but you miss the technology. In some countries are great technology but you miss the mindset. And what I love about Israel is every time I go there, I come back impressed, because the speed of development of startups contributing to really move things that later on can be developed in Israel or somewhere else, but that are Israel born. Like plant-based, actually. Plant-based is the fastest growing business we have now in food, in EMENA, in Nestle, and the origin is from Israel. So this is one of the examples.
Super interesting. Well, we could have continued our conversation a lot longer, but our time is up. So I want to thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to meeting you when you come back here. And hopefully you'll be announcing soon an interesting investment here in Israel. And yeah, so thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.